The Comic-Con that is a mile above the rest returns in 2013, and it's bigger than ever.
That's right. Stan Lee's going to be at Denver Comic-Con this year.
They also have George Takei at Denver Comic-Con 2013.
Plus Kelly Hu and Will Wheaton.
Friend of the podcast, Georges Jonti, will be there. So go online to denvercomiccon.com where you can buy tickets. Stay tuned. VIP tickets for Stan Lee will be available. Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast at Denver Comic-Con. Log on to Denver Comic-Con right now to purchase tickets to the main event. And starting April 24th, you can buy tickets to see Stan Lee. Finally. He'll be there Sunday only, so make sure you buy your tickets if you want to meet Stan Lee, because that's the only way they'll guarantee you to meet Stan Lee. And he is awesome, in case you're wondering.
He's a legend.
He is a legend in the comic book industry. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh man, my earphones suck, well, we have a deal for you. Log on to tweakedaudio.com and select any of their fantastic earbuds. I listen to the Natural version 3. Brad has the Parkour.
Parkour?
I wonder if that joke's ever going to get old.
Not for us.
Not to us. And when you check out on the coupon area, just type in Real Nerds, one word, REELNERDS, and you'll get a third off your whole order. Even if it's $100,000, you just saved $30,000 because of the Real Nerds. Just remember, you heard it here first. Tweakedaudio.com.
That's another $30,000 you can spend on more earbuds.
That's right, more earbuds. This week we saw the movie 42, the story of Jackie Robinson. It was. You'll have to listen to our podcast to find out if it was any good.
That'll be at the end of the show.
That's at the end of the show. But at the beginning of the show, we have a special guest with us, and it's always fun to have a special guest for the second time on this podcast, and you are the only returning guest against your own will. Why don't you introduce our wonderful listeners to yourself, sir?
I am Glenn Burgetts. I'm the writer and director of Midget Zombie Takeover, which is screening in Denver on May 2nd.
Where at?
At the Oriental Theater, starting at 7 p.m.
Excellent. That's a great theater.
That is a really cool theater. So, Glenn, you're a filmmaker. And why don't you tell us a little about your journey to become a filmmaker, what got you interested into making films, and eventually led you to Zombie Midget Takeover?
Yeah, I always just wanted to be a writer, had no desire to make films, and I'd written over a dozen scripts, and I couldn't get anyone in L.A. to look at them, let alone turn them down. And so I was talking a few years ago, gosh, it's got to be about 6 years ago or so, with a guy who used to work at Disney. And we met one day talking over coffee, and he said, yeah, no one in L.A. will ever read any of your scripts because we don't know who you are. And he said, if you want to do anything in the film world, he said, you got to start making your own films. So I read a book about it, part of a book about it, and 6 weeks later I made my first short film, and made a couple shorts to figure out what the heck I was doing, and since then Midget Zombie Takeover is my 6th feature film.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you produce films pretty quickly then. Did you have these scripts already pre-written? Is that why you were able to make them so fast? Or did just the love of making films just start blossoming?
Yeah, I still have those 12 other scripts. Actually, it's up to 14 now because they would actually require a budget to make them. Mm-hmm. And my films I've made for anywhere from $800 to $2,000, the feature films. And we're able to shoot quickly because I write scripts specifically to be shot quickly and on a small budget. When I come up with an idea, I'll have the locations in mind, usually just one or two, so a lot of times we just move all over the same house. And I usually keep the cast pretty small for the most part, though with Midget Zombie Takeover, with those little zombies running around, the cast got a little big at times.
Pun intended.
Well, it was literally small.
But yeah, I typically write the scripts to be made, shot very quickly, few locations, few cast members, and that keeps costs down and keeps the shoot going quickly.
Very cool. So what's the name of your first film then, if you don't mind me asking?
The first feature film I did that was completed, because we shot a film and it took years to get edited, the first completed one was Therapist, spelled Pissed, about Greg Niemer, a Denver actor, was the star of it, did a great job, and he played a very angry psychologist who took out his problems on his patients.
So what would you say your influence as a filmmaker is? Do you gravitate towards somebody and you try to emulate them, or do you have your own style?
I am completely unique. No, I don't. For the most part, I've just loved comedies. You put Leslie Nielsen in a film, I'm watching it. Steve Martin, John Candy, and I do mostly comedies. We've done a couple psychological thrillers as well, but for the most part, I typically have Leslie Nielsen, John Candy, Steve Martin floating around in my head, like, what would they do in this situation, if they were in the film? And I would have to say that's probably my biggest influence when I'm writing a script or directing a film.
Very cool. So then what led you to making a horror movie then? I guess it's a horror comedy. Is it just because you liked the idea of making a zombie comedy, or it just came to you one day and that's what you wanted to do?
Well, no, it's because I'm an idiot. Why we made Midget Zombie Takeover, because years ago, it's got to be about 3 years ago, maybe even a little more now, the CEO at a distribution company, I was talking with him on the phone one day about one of my other films, and they were representing it but having trouble selling it. And he said, if you ever make a film with zombies in it, I can sell it. Or if you ever make a film with women in bikinis in it, I can sell it. And, I'm an idiot, so it took me 3 years to figure out, wait, I can combine those two things. Let's have a hot tub party with women in bikinis, have zombies attack. And but then I kept thinking, gosh, I need to put a little different spin on it. And I was talking with my niece, Christine, one day, and she said, well, why don't you put midgets in there? Make the zombies midgets. I kind of like that idea, and thus was born Midget Zombie Takeover. Though I must say, at first it was Little Zombie Takeover until the shoot. Our shooting title was Little Zombie Takeover, but the little people on set who played the zombies, they demanded we call it Midget Zombie Takeover because they said, hey, we're midgets and we're proud of it.
That's very cool because, when you hear that title right away, we're in such a PC world. You're saying, whoa, midget in the title. That has to be a horrible idea. And it's going to be. So that's really cool that you got the idea from the little people that worked on the film for you. Is there a specific person who came up and said, hey, this is the wrong title. It should be midget?
We have been banned from one theater that had booked us initially when the title. We weren't finished shooting the film yet, and we were still going by Little Zombie Takeover. And they had shown two of my previous films, The Worst Movie Ever and To Die Is Hard, at this theater. And they said, yes, when this film's done, we're going to show it. And then when I said, okay, here's Midget Zombie Takeover, they said, yeah, we're not showing that. That is too offensive. So, okay, sorry. And they have not shown us. Well, we've been banned.
Comedy's supposed to push boundaries.
It is. It's supposed to totally push boundaries. So how long did it take you to make this movie? Was it a long process? How did you get actors to be in the movie? Because to me, it sounds like it'd be hard to cast enough little people to be the zombies in it. Was that a hard process, or was it seamless and it was sunny and rosy?
Anything but seamless. We shot most of the film in Fort Wayne, Indiana last summer, and there are not a whole lot of little people who are actors and actresses in Northeast Indiana. So our main kind of king zombie was Travis Green. He actually lives north of Milwaukee, and he's in Dead Man's Carnival out of Milwaukee. And so Travis had to come down from Wisconsin to be our king zombie. We got some other shorter people to play the other zombies from Northeast Indiana, Northwest Ohio. And the film shoot itself was very quick. We shot the film over the course of 4 days, but putting everything together was a challenge because all my previous films I'd shot in Denver. Very easy to find, very talented cast and crew members, get everyone together quickly, get a film shot. I ended up, I got a couple people from Fort Wayne, but I ended up having to expand my reach. We got Travis in from Wisconsin, Dennis Parent, our awesome makeup guy who did all the zombie makeup. He came down from Michigan. Most of the cast and crews from Chicago. We also got some people from Western Indiana, a bunch of people from Northwest Ohio. The crazy guy in the film, Jonathan Hodges, who was awesome. He came over from Northwest Ohio to be in the film. So it took a little while to get the cast and crew together, but once we settled on a date, got everyone in there, boom, boom, we barreled through 2 weekends of shooting, and the film was done.
So do you have a table read or a rehearsal, or do you send people the script and say, hey, know your lines because we only have 4 days to shoot this? So I expect you to know your stuff and be ready to go.
Yeah, you nailed it. I've never had a rehearsal. I've had a few reads before my films. With this one, I mean, I didn't even get to do auditions in person for the most part, getting people from all over the Midwest, basically, I guess, 5 states people were involved in or from. So, yeah, people would send me a video audition, oftentimes just taken with their cell phone, and they'd email it to me. A couple of the people, Jewel Kurtz, who plays one of the midget zombies, and Jonathan Hodges, who I'd mentioned, I'd seen them do some theatrical work before, so I just said, hey, do you want to roll? They said yes. I'm like, okay, you're good. You're ready to go. And we got most of the cast and crew together at the house where we shot. I was renting a house last summer there in Fort Wayne, and we brought everyone in Friday night. Everyone drove in, and most of them were there Friday night. We did a quick read-through, couple questions were answered and things, and we started shooting first thing Saturday morning, and it worked out great. Everyone stayed at the house. I didn't have money for hotel rooms for anyone, so everyone just stayed at the house. We turned it into summer camp, and I found out later, we would shoot till 10 or 11 at night, and I'd run up to my bedroom, close the door, turn the air conditioner on so things were quiet other than the air conditioner, and I'd try to get about 6 hours sleep before getting up to shoot the next day, and I'd get up and start trying to rouse people, and it took a little effort to get people up, and I eventually found out that basically everyone else was staying up till 3:30, 4 in the morning, partying, talking, carrying on, having a good time, summer camp, and so yeah, we'd finally get going about 8 or 9 in the morning, and shoot for the next 14 hours or so, and do it again the next day.
So you shot the movie for only $2,000. Is it hard to find actors that are willing to be in a movie basically for the love of it, because obviously you can't offer them a lot of money, and also with the crew too, you have to find people that are really hungry to make a name for themselves more so than the money?
Yeah, absolutely. I can typically afford to pay people basically gas and food money. I keep them fed during the shoot, make sure they have money to pay their gas to fill up their tank. And every now and then, if I have a really small cast, I can give them an extra $100 or so. But with $2,000 and the bigger cast, yeah, it was basically gas money, a little food money. With the crew members, typically a little bit more. People who, I guess in independent films, typically you're used to hearing about the star of the film getting $5 or $10 or $20 million. At least in my small budget independent film world, it's the editor who typically gets the most, because the editor has to put the most time in. The DP might get a little extra for the extra time they have to put in, because the crew members, they are there every second of the day when we're shooting, whereas the cast members, they can come and go, relax, get in the hot tub, and get something to eat and all when they're not going to be on set for a couple hours.
So in a zombie movie though too, you need makeup. Was the makeup a challenge to do under your budget, or was it something that was because you had a makeup artist on there? Did he bring his own makeup and you didn't have to worry about super gruesome gags or anything like that?
Yeah, we didn't have any of the heads exploding or anything like that where they take a bullet in the head and the brains go flying. We didn't have the budget for that. We actually spent about $100 on makeup, and Dennis did a fantastic job making the zombies look good. We've even had a number of the critics who have reviewed the film comment that the makeup looks really good for a small budget film. And yeah, we spent about $100. Dennis would get each zombie in the chair for, depending on how much makeup, if they were one of the premier zombies or one of the more background zombies, for an hour and a half or so for the really thorough makeup, and maybe 45 minutes for the ones who are more in the background. But Dennis did a great job, cost us about $100 for makeup. But sadly, because of that, we don't have any, heads exploding, brains splattering all over.
So, I mean, but is it really necessary in the story you're telling? Because we talked to you earlier and you said this could probably be a PG-13 movie. So it must rely more on the comedy than the horror. So how do you blend the two and satisfy the horror crowd? Because the horror crowd's going to want to see something that's scary. Is it the girls in the bikinis that satisfies everybody?
For the most part.
Boom, boom, boom. What a joke I just pulled.
Yeah, a number of the critics have been calling it a zomedy, and because it is more comedically based than horror based, the film, and but we do have a couple, good scares. Again, it's not blood everywhere. We do have a little bit of blood here and there, and but we tried to take maybe at times a fresher approach with the zombies. In one instance, Travis has just picked off one of the bikini-clad women, and typically we're not used to zombies having any sexual emotions or feelings, but Travis, the zombie, let's just say he gets a little frisky while feasting on a dead bikini-clad woman.
What's the plot for the movie? If you don't, because we've talked about the behind the scenes. So what's the overall plot of the movie?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Some college kids decide to get together for a hot tub party. They're having their fun, and suddenly a whole bunch of little zombies who are hungry for flesh, human flesh, invade the party. And the college kids have to try to fight off the zombies and see if they can survive. And hopefully the one fun little twist is all the kids are supposed to be the cool kids. They like each other. But Billy, played by Matt Goosehurst, he's the outcast. He's a big lad, and they make fun of him. But at the end, will it be Billy who saves the day?
Does your film explain where the zombies come from, or is it just like they kind of just happen to be there?
They just appear, and we're saving that for hopefully Midget Zombie Takeover 2. And we've already had a number of people say, you got to do a sequel. And Mr. Lobo, the host of Cinema Insomnia, he saw the film when we had our world premiere in Virginia in February. And he loved it, and he said he wants to be in the sequel. And he said he would love to be the doctor who figures out why these little people are turning into zombies. And I said, well, Mr. Lobo, if you're going to be in the film, I got to kill you off. Is that okay? He said, you better bloody kill me off. So that's where we will explain maybe why these little people are turning into zombies.
And that's okay, too, because Night of the Living Dead, they never explained where the zombies came from. They just started attacking. They did kind of in the background, so it's more scary when you don't know what's happening.
Oh, yeah, it's like with Halloween, with Michael Myers. He's just killing for the sake of killing in the first one. I didn't like how, in the, what episode, I guess 4, the fourth one, and they start explaining why he's doing the killing and this and that. Like, hey, just let him kill. That's scarier. He doesn't need a motive. He just wants to kill. That's all right with me.
So it's a true independent film because you're touring this all over the place. What's the process for your film being shown at theaters? Because you're doing really an old style where they don't really do it anymore, where you take it to them and say, hey, this is my film, will you please show it? And you're not only in Denver, you're going to Kansas City and a bunch of other places. And what's the process like for that? And how do you make contact for any aspiring filmmakers out there? How do you make contact with theaters for them to show your film?
Yeah, a couple years ago when we had To Die Is Hard completed, my feature film from 2010, we screened it some. It was getting a great response. It lampoons Die Hard.
I was going to say, that sounds like Die Hard 6.
Yeah, and we lampoon action films and Die Hard in particular. And we're getting a great response to it. So I just looked up every independent theater I could find in the country. It's truly independent. A lot of theaters are owned by Landmark, and you have to go through corporate offices there and all, and they don't want to pay attention to anyone like me. I don't blame them. And but I found that over 100 truly independent theaters that it's just some guy or some lady who owns this theater and they like to show films. And I started contacting them about To Die Is Hard, and probably about it was 25 of them or so said, yeah, we'll take a look at it. And we ended up getting it in 4 of those theaters. And from there, with The Worst Movie Ever, we ended up getting that in 7 different theaters. And I just keep, emailing these people, occasional phone call. Hey, we gotten some good reviews. I always try to get people to review the films. And if we get a good review, I let the theater owners know about it. Hey, people are liking it. If we get a bad review, I don't let them know anything at all about it. And so, yeah, with Midget Zombie Takeover, we very quickly got a couple of really good reviews. And so I hit these theaters up right away. Hey, this is what Creepshow Radio said about us, and the Zombie Media Database and Examiner.com. And they're more apt to give the film a look. And So yeah, they looked it over, and a lot of them are saying, well, yeah, we'll bring it in for a late night screening, late Friday night, late Saturday night or something. And but we're coming up in Phoenix May 3rd and 4th, actually in Tempe, Arizona, at the Valley Art Theater. They're showing us prime time, Friday and Saturday night, and they had actually talked about possibly showing us for a week. So if we do well enough there, they might bring us back for a 1-week run. But it's basically just being tenacious without being annoying, and just letting these theaters know, hey, we got another good review. Hey, we had good box office at this theater. Maybe we'll have good box office at your theater as well. Why don't you give us a shot? And while 90% of them never respond to the email or just completely ignore me, the 10% end up responding, get a little relationship going, and eventually sometimes I'll show the film.
So that's helps a lot of filmmakers that maybe do it independently, because I think now, everything's so corporate that you have to find a way in, and that's kind of interesting. So do you also submit it to festivals and other, festivals, film review? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Besides film festivals, what other kind of festivals could there be where you showcase films? I don't know.
Yeah, I usually submit each of the films to just 3 or 4 festivals, maybe 5 at the most, and I tend to submit to those festivals where I know someone there that I want to support their festival. Whether they show me or not, at least they get the $50 submission fee. And so I don't do a lot with the festival route for the most part, because with To Die Is Hard, The Worst Movie Ever, and Midget Zombie Takeover, they're not really festival type films. They're just goofy, bizarro stuff. The next film we'll have coming out is The Ghosts of Johnson Woods, and that is a psychological thriller. And that's a film I'll probably push more towards festivals. It seems more of a festival-type film, and hopefully we can get a nice track record going there, maybe get that one in some theaters as well. And but with the festivals, they can get pretty expensive. You start submitting to festivals. Some of them, are $75, $100 for a submission fee or an entry fee. And as little as I pay for a film, heck, my feature film Separate Checks, we shot for $800. And, if I end up submitting to 20 film festivals, I'll end up spending a whole lot more just to submit to these film festivals than it would cost me to possibly make a whole new feature film. So I kind of have to weigh, how much, is it worth, submitting to a bunch of festivals or maybe just a handful, and I go from there.
When is the first time you knew that maybe you were doing something right as a filmmaker, where people wanted to see your film? Was it a good review, or is maybe a friend saw it and they enjoyed it, or your family was okay with what you were making? Or when was the aha moment that maybe I have a voice for film?
Yeah, actually, I remember the exact moment. I can't tell you the day or whatever, but I remember when it happened. Is the second short film I did was called Guernica Still Burning, and it's actually a very dramatic film. And it's almost an experimental film, kind of stream of consciousness. And it follows one man's, spiritual journey as he's trying to figure out who he is, what he believes. And it's a 22-minute short film, and there are really only 2 cast members. There are 2 cast members in it, and then the crew was just 2 people, me and Alan Day Green, who shot and edited it. And as we were shooting it, I thought this could be pretty good. And when Alan got the edit together and showed me the finished edit for the first time, I remember thinking, my gosh, I actually know how to make a film. This is pretty good. And that was when I thought, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm not only having fun doing it, but I think I have a little bit of a clue as to what I'm doing. And I'm certainly learning things all the time. And I certainly take missteps, as all filmmakers do, as all actors and actresses do. And, saying, oh, I want to be in that film. And it turns out to be a complete dud. But it's been basically nothing but a great process. And Guernica Still Burning was the film that, told me that I might know what I'm doing a little bit.
Very cool. So, and also, too, just by listening to you, sounds like you don't really have a genre that you latch on to. Is it because you like to challenge yourself with new genres, or is it just you have ideas and you want to make them?
Yeah, it's mostly the ideas thing. Comedy's my favorite, and we've mostly done comedies, but I also love horror films. Because the great thing with horror films are when they're really good, and when they're really bad, they're really good. Because the bad horror films are sometimes the best ones, but yeah, we've done a little bit of drama. Evil Intent is a psychological thriller we did a couple of years ago that we have a distribution deal for. It's gotten some small VOD deals and things. And, that was great to shoot that film. And, like I mentioned earlier with The Ghosts of Johnson Woods, that was really fun and interesting to make that, to do something a little different. And so basically whatever idea comes to mind, if I get an idea, think about it for a few days, a week, 2 weeks, and I think, well, maybe I can put a script together around that we could afford to shoot. I'll go ahead and write the script and start putting a cast and crew together.
So do you write a script based on the constraints you're going to have with a budget, or do you write a script and then adjust it to the budget that you have for the film?
Yeah, I write a script knowing I'm not going to have much money to make it, because even though, my earlier films have gotten out there, as an independent filmmaker, we typically get a small take of the box office because I don't have any clout, with these theaters. I can't say, well, Tom Cruise demands this or that. And so when I write a script, I know it's going to be a small budget film that I usually guess, maybe $1,500. And I just start thinking, well, how many characters do I really need? I try to keep the characters to an absolute minimum, and I try to keep the locations to an absolute minimum, because every time you have to move to a new location, that's oftentimes another day of shooting. And I try to keep the shoot schedules as short as possible. With The Worst Movie Ever, we shot the whole thing in one weekend, a 2-day shoot, to get a feature film. And granted, that means some scenes aren't perfect. Same thing with Midget Zombie Takeover, taking 4 days. Sometimes we shoot a take or a scene just one time, and hey, that looked all right. Let's move on to the next one. And sometimes you get burned a little bit in the edits, trying to figure out how to put that back together. But yeah, I typically get an idea, write the script to keep everything as simple as possible so we can shoot it on the small budget.
So also, too, then, does that mean you don't have a lot of wasted scenes? I mean, meaning that you don't have a lot of scenes on the cutting room floor to make it, or do you have tons of scenes that are on cutting room floor?
We have nothing on the cutting room floor because
everything you write, you shoot.
Yeah. And it
ends up in the movie.
It makes its way into the film because, for the most part, to keep these films affordable and to shoot them quickly, we're not making the 2 hour and 28 minute long film. We're making films that are an hour and 20 minutes. They're still feature length, but we don't have the time and the money to shoot, a 2.5 hour film. So yes, everything that's in the script gets shot and ends up in the final edit.
Does that help you with characters, though, writing that way? Because you know that you have to keep it so tight that the characters seem to have more depth when you're writing them, because you can't, make such like a throwaway character, basically, just to be like in a zombie movie. There might be a character who's just killed because it's cool to kill him. Where in, Zombie Midget Takeover, since the cast is so small, you kind of have to give everybody a little bit of meat on the bone.
Well, I would say that with The Ghosts of Johnson Woods, because there are only 4 cast members in The Ghosts of Johnson Woods, and 90% of the film, there are just the 2 in there. And so they get developed really well. In Midget Zombie Takeover, it's just a bunch of morons doing stupid things and getting killed. There's not a whole lot of character development with that one. So it depends. And, I couldn't do it nearly as much, not that I wanted to, because it was a much bigger cast. And, to try to give basically 9 primary characters some character development in an hour and, 15-minute film while I'm killing them off. And, trying to do some justice to the zombies. Yeah, I didn't worry about character development with this film.
So in Zombie Midget Takeover, the zombies show up very early and start causing havoc, is what you're saying.
Yes, for the most part. And so we don't have a chance to develop a whole lot of characterization. But the last few people who are still alive, Amanda, played by Christy McKay, and Billy, played by Goose Goosehurst, Matt Goose Goosehurst, and Kedron Carpenter's character, Daniel Kramer's character. They develop a little bit. They grow. They see a little spiritual growth, I think, as the carnage ensues. And but yeah, for the most part, yeah, it's nothing like a little seed growing into a mighty oak. We don't have any of that in the film.
So I have to ask, if you maybe you don't know the answer, how does he get the nickname Goose Goose?
Well, his last name's Goosehurst, and everyone just calls him Goose. So, yeah, Matt said, make sure you put Goose in the credits. I am Matt Goose Goosehurst. That's fine with me, so that's what we went with. So we got the Goose.
Very cool. So, do you have a question? Looks like I say something. Sorry.
What did you find was your most difficult part of making Midget Zombie Takeover?
We have a lot of scenes shot in the house we shot in had 4 levels, and the lowest level was completely underground, no windows or anything. And more than any other place in the film. We shot more scenes there than anywhere else. And there was no air conditioning down there. There was heat, but we were shooting in summer, so we didn't need that. And just shooting one scene after another in that seething cauldron, that got a little taxing at times. We'd have to run out of the room and just cool off for a few minutes, drinking lots of water and all. And it was really tough for Christy McKay and Matt Goosehurst, because they had the most scenes down there. And so it got pretty sweaty, a little uncomfortable at times, but everyone, kept smiling, kept laughing, so it wasn't that bad. And so we had a good time, even with the sweaty, hot stuff.
So the opposite question is, what was the most fun you had during the shoot? In the hot tub with bikini-clad women?
Yeah, well, I didn't get in the hot tub myself. I only have a brief cameo at the beginning of the film.
I was so going to ask you if you do a Hitchcock, and are you in all your films, or is it only this one that you're in?
I was actually the star of To Die Is Hard and The Worst Movie Ever. My other films, I've had smaller roles. This is probably the smallest role I've had in one of the films. I'm just in it right at the very beginning. And the main reason is not that I'm, have any talent as an actor, but it's one less person I have to pay, $50 in gas money to, so it saves a little money. But the whole thing, it was really fun. Maybe the funniest moment I had alluded to earlier is when Travis has knocked off Anita, Nicole Brown. She's been killed off in her bikini, and Travis, the midget zombie, takes some liberties with her. That was rather humorous to watch that scene unfold.
And your other movies, like when you're in them and you have to still direct, is that terribly challenging, or?
No, as a director, I like to trust the cast and crew that they're bringing their own talents to the film, because they're all artists in one form or another, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. So I like to let, especially the cast members, do their thing and interpret their character in their own way. And I'll occasionally say, well, let's try this a little bit differently. But for the most part, I let them do their thing. And so I'm just an actor for those 30 seconds or a minute that I'm in the scene, and I just do the acting. And sometimes I remember to say cut when the scene's done, and, we'll reshoot it possibly. But I heard an interview a number of years ago with an actor who had worked with Spike Lee, and he said it was so wonderful to work with Spike Lee, because he said Spike would sometimes go a whole day, sometimes 2 days, and basically say nothing. He just let us be ourselves and to put ourselves into the character and play the character the way we wanted to. He said it was just so fabulous, to have that freedom with a role. And so I've always tried to keep that in mind, that, let's give these people some credit, and let's let them bring their own interpretation to the role. With Midget Zombie Takeover, I maybe did a little more directing, just because over half the cast members had never been in any sort of film at all before, even in, a 2-minute short. And so at times I had to coach them along a little more. But for the most part, they all showed up, they knew their lines, they knew what they wanted to do, and they did a great job. So even when I'm in a film, I have been so fortunate to work with really talented people that I can let them do their thing while I'm doing my acting thing and not have to worry about it a whole lot.
Are you a stickler for the lines you write, or is it just, as far as open to interpretation, can they create a mood or feeling with their acting, but they still have to stick to the lines, or is it just open, your script's just a template?
Yeah, since every word I write is pure gold, I make them stick to it. For the most part, the actors and actresses, they show up and they know their lines and they stick pretty well to it. One of the actors who would ad-lib a bit I've worked with over the years is Greg Niemer, and he's a Denver guy. And Greg would get a little funky with the lines sometimes. And sometimes, we had to reshoot the scene, but there were quite a few times, especially in To Die Is Hard and Separate Checks. He played prominent roles in both of those films. He came up with some stuff that was really good that we left in the film.
That happened on a film me and him shot, and it's my favorite brag moment that we were shooting this scene, and
Nope. This isn't about us.
Yeah.
Nope.
Anyways, I just want to prove that, sometimes actors are right and directors aren't.
Do you own most of your equipment, or do you rent?
I do own a boom microphone, or I guess the microphone, and we duct tape it to a 3-wood golf club, and that's what we use for a lot of my films for the sound. The other equipment, I just have, the cameramen have their own camera, and they bring it on set, so we're always using different cameras from film to film. And Orion Metzger was the director of photography for Midget Zombie Takeover. And I hadn't worked with Orion before. He came in from Chicago, and he showed up with this little tiny, Canon DSLR, something like this little tiny camera. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to shoot a feature film on that? Worked beautifully. And so, yeah, he had his own camera. I've worked with Eric Lassie, who's the editor of Midget Zombie Takeover. He was the director of photography for The Worst Movie Ever. He had his own camera. Alan Day Green has shot some films for me. He had his own equipment. Nick Falls, the director of photography for Therapist, he had his own camera. So I own a microphone. That's what I own.
So because you worked with so many people that have never been in a film before, did you shoot the film in order, or did you shoot it out of order? And was it hard for people who haven't been in film before to get in character in specific scenes if they were shot out of order?
Yeah, we were absolutely out of order. We basically shoot by location. We had a bunch of scenes, on the hot tub. We'll shoot all those at once, or on the deck by the hot tub, get all those shot. And then we got these 3 scenes that take place in the kitchen. Let's shoot the kitchen scenes. Whoever's in them, come on over. Or when we were shooting in the family room. So we mostly moved from location to location. The one exception with that would be the zombies were only on set for 1 day with Midget Zombie Takeover. So we had to save, and that was the last day of the shoot. And we had to save all the zombie scenes, obviously, for that last day of the shoot. And so therefore we were just running all over basically the house and yard where we shot, getting those scenes taken care of. But for the most part, I group it on location, especially in this case because everyone was just staying at the house. And if we're doing a shoot for like The Worst Movie Ever, it's somewhat on location, but then I also try to group the cast members so they only have to be on set for like 2 to 4 hours each, because it gets really boring as a cast member if you're on set for 8 or 10 hours and you shoot one scene at 9 in the morning, then you got to wait till 4 in the afternoon to your next scene. So sometimes I will group a particular actor or actress's scenes together so they can get in and out quickly, so they don't have to waste a whole day just sitting around with nothing to do.
Very cool. So where else is Midget Zombie Takeover playing at?
Yeah, we've already screened in the Washington, D.C. area, L.A., San Antonio, Fort Collins, Colorado. We have dates coming up this weekend, which I don't know if we'll be on air yet by then, but
we will.
Yeah, we will. It's going up tonight,
Brad.
Okay, Sunday, April 21st at noon in Kansas City at the Screenland Crossroads Theater. Then we have a date May 2nd in Denver at the Oriental Theater. Then we have May 3rd and 4th at the Valley Art Theater in Tempe, Arizona. And we've also been booked into Cinema 21 in Portland, Oregon. We don't have a date set for that yet. And we've also been booked into the Roxy Theater in London, England. And we haven't set dates yet for that. They're one of the theaters actually talking about possibly a 1-week run, because we've been getting quite a bit of attention from England. Apparently they are gung-ho for zombies and bad films. And so, yeah, we've gotten a lot of requests for reviews, for magazine interviews, website interviews, and we're hoping maybe we can parlay that into a 1-week run in London.
So all the places you've shown your movie so far, what audience had the best reaction to your film?
Well, when we had the world premiere at the Alamo Draft House in Winchester, Virginia, outside D.C., it was part of the Zombie TV Freakend Festival, and a lot of people were there, and it was raucous, and the crowd just went nuts. It was probably the biggest crowd we've had so far, and they just went crazy over the film. The theater owner, Steve Naranjis, told me even before the film was over, he came up to me in the theater, he said, I have never heard this much laughing at a film in all my years of owning a theater. And so that was probably the best reaction because of the combination of how much they loved it and how big the crowd was. We had a sellout. I attended the screening in L.A., and while it wasn't a sellout, we still had a good crowd in there, and they really liked the film. We even had a screening that was fantastic, where there were probably only about 50 people there, but they were so into the film, and they were yelling out at the screen, and calling the characters' names and just going nuts. It was like a screening of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That was a lot of fun as well.
So in the movies you make, is that the kind of reaction you want from an audience? Is them yelling at the kids for being stupid and saying, hey, there's midget zombies about to take over this place. Let's get out of here. Is that something you strive for in the kind of films you make?
Not with all of them, but But with this film, as I was writing the script, it certainly crossed my mind, like, this could be a midnight movie type film, where people might be yelling at it. Same thing with The Worst Movie Ever, because with The Worst Movie Ever, which came out a year and a half ago, we've got it in quite a few theaters, 7 theaters, a number of late night showings, and it's a film I tried to make as awful as possible, but to be so bad it was good, and which was a challenge in itself. And yeah, it's one of those films where I'm hoping that eventually we still get it in theaters here and there. We have a screening set in October for it as a midnight movie. And hopefully it'll be one of those films that as people start to see it more and more, yes, they will be yelling at the screen and having fun with it and maybe even throwing things at screens. That's what I'm hoping.
Is there a place online where people can catch your old stuff?
Since we have distribution deals in place for these films, we can't just let people, stream it, for free. And we're still working. We haven't gotten DVD deals yet where they can buy it. They can certainly check out the trailers on YouTube. Or what we do is there are Facebook fan pages for all of the films, Midget Zombie Takeover, The Worst Movie Ever, and To Die Is Hard. And what we do occasionally there, when we don't let the distributor know, is we do promos where, for the next 3 days, anyone who sends us a message and asks to see the film, we'll send them a link to the private viewing page for the film. And we did that just recently with The Worst Movie Ever, and we got a great response, especially Europeans. Europeans seem to really be liking The Worst Movie Ever. And so, yeah, if people are interested in seeing these films, like the films on Facebook, again, To Die Is Hard, The Worst Movie Ever, and Midget Zombie Takeover, and keep an eye out for when we'll do some like that, an occasional posting. We also got Promote Horror, a website. I've been going back and forth with them for a couple days. We're going to be doing a promotion with them of some sort for Midget Zombie Takeover, and the promotion we might be doing is, the first 5 or 10 people each day for, say, a week who get on Facebook and send us a message, say, I want to see this film. We'll send them for free a link to the private viewing page for the film. So, yeah, most of the distribution deals we have so far are smaller VOD deals. We have one with us for some of our films with a Spanish language station that's showing occasional English language films, and I don't even know where the station is. I just know the distributor said, we'll have a few bucks coming in from them eventually.
Do you have to translate a version of your movie for them, or do they do that for you?
Apparently they want to show some English language stuff for people who are bilingual or wanting to learn English. And what better way to learn English than watching one of my stupid films, So, yeah, it's kind of tough to get hold of our films at this point because we don't have a lot of big deals for them, and we don't have DVD deals yet. Hopefully those are coming down the line, but in the meantime, yeah, become a fan on Facebook, like us on Facebook, and that could be your chance to see the film for free.
Or a better way to see it is May 2nd at the Oriental Theater in Denver, Colorado. At
Come from out of state and see it.
Come from out of state. The real nerds will be there. Will you be there? Thank you for stopping by for the second time, our first repeat guest. In fact, your first interview was so great, it was locked with the Ark of the Covenant, and it'll never be found again.
Well, I appreciate the real nerds having me on. I really appreciate the coverage.
I'd like to thank Eric for being
Eric,
here the first time. Unfortunately,
Eric was
he couldn't
here
come back.
last time, and he had a wealth of knowledge that will never be heard. We feel so bad about it. But thank you again, and especially because it's such a dreary night here in Denver. And a local filmmaker, Denver filmmaker, with a Denver podcast. And without further ado, it's time for fan mail. Fan mail! We got a lot of tweets this week, which I like, because they're short and sweet, and then that means people are paying attention to us, and that's always a good thing. Cora tweeted us that she just saw Jurassic Park in 3D at the Alamo Drafthouse. Awesome experience. Thanks, Real Nerds. Yeah, if you haven't been to the Alamo, it's quite the experience. The food's good. The movies are projected brightly, and they always have goofy things in the front of the movies.
The screen tells you to shut the fuck up.
The screen does tell you to shut the fuck up. I loved the one before Evil Dead when they had George Romero say that you'll become one of the dead.
Yeah. He's going to take matters into his own hands. And
we know a thing about George Romero. He loves his zombies.
Yeah. Alamo Drafthouse is a great place to watch movies. And the food's like we used to go elsewhere for dinner and then go see the movie. Like now we can do both at the same time.
Exactly. I got the carnivore pizza. It was delicious. This week, if the 42 wasn't sold out, I was totally going to get. They have this like hamburger on there that I really want to get. and I wasn't able to get it because it was sold out. But next week, hopefully. Well, now we know to buy tickets before Oblivion. It's
Yeah.
probably going to be really popular. So
So you should probably, listening, buy your tickets in advance too, so that you don't run into the situation that we did.
absolutely. Last week, I picked as my comic book of the week Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It was a cool 4-part series that dealt with, welcome to the team, where it had some people that didn't have Slayer powers trying to slay the vampires, and it was a really good series. And George Jonti has drawn the comic book for a long time, and his last cover I really liked, so I tweeted him that I liked it, and he said, "Thanks, I like it too." And I don't know, the geek part of me is saying, "Oh my God, someone famous tweeted me back," and someone whose work I really respect. So thank you, Georges, for tweeting us back. Because
Yeah, thanks for staying in touch with us.
absolutely
Appreciate it.
Because you know what, we're gonna hopefully interview him this year again at Denver Comic Con.
What if he's just tweeting us back because he's like, oh God, I'll be running into those guys.
Yeah, please leave me alone. It'll be one of those things. Hey, Georges, come back, and he's I have a panel to go to, but the show is over. That's all right. I understand if he doesn't want to. Also, you know how I feel about Rebecca Isaacs. I love Rebecca Isaacs.
And James has posters of her all over his wall.
I know, James.
And
I mean,
he has like videos that
it's really weird. I don't know where
yeah.
he gets the videos from, but
yeah, I think he's downloaded every YouTube video and every JPEG on the internet.
the thing with Rebecca Isaacs is I think she's one of the best artists working because I love her line work. It's so clean, and her covers become amazing and amazing. More amazing after every one she draws. And I just happened to send her a tweet. I said, "Hey, are you coming to Denver Comic Con this year?" And she said, "Unfortunately, not this year. We'll be finishing up Angel and Faith at just about the same time, but next year." And that's a bummer because she won't be there, but it's also cool that she's not taking a break from the book. On the Buffy books, the main artist will draw 4 issues, and then they'll have basically a one-shot by a guest artist, and I always dislike it when she's not on the book. So the last issue that she drew was actually supposed to be a fill-in, but she decided she wanted to draw it. So she's been really busy, and she's doing such a great job that I'll let her slide this one time.
I don't know, like she can't work on it at Denver Comic Con? Like, what's up with that?
Well,
is the lighter air like distorting her line work?
it might be harder to draw at elevation. It's harder to do a lot of things.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we're just kidding, of course. Cora sent us also an email because I do feel bad because Cora keeps on recommending things to me, and I basically
and you reject them.
I keep on shitting on them. She's like, Did you read The Boys? I'm like, oh yeah, I used it to wipe my ass with because it was horrible. That's an exaggeration. The Boys isn't that bad. But she sent an email saying how boring. I really do love the show. I mean, how boring would it be if everyone agreed on everything? True. We tend to agree on a lot of things. There's not too many movies we see where we have differing opinions, besides like The Hunger Games. And she says that, yes, the Alamo Drafthouse was awesome. We're already planning to go back at the end of the month. Hey, Cora, if you're listening to this and we can, line up the movie to see together, come back on the show. I think the best part was the dinosaur and Jeff Goldblum snippets and cartoons before the movie. Jurassic Park looked awesome in 3D too. Have a great show.
Yeah, I didn't go see. I saw Jurassic Park 3D this week, but I didn't see it at the Alamo. But what James told me was that because he went there, they have clips. The clip from Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie.
Yep.
Where Chef Goldblum introduces the movie, and these chairs. What were they?
They're the chairs that, remember, I forget the name is the chair.
The Schlong.
Yeah.
The Schlang.
Schlang
Super Chair 2000 thing.
But you sat in this chair in the movie theater and it like pulled your eyelids back and let you watch the movie without blinking. And
you put your feet in stirrups, and it had like a popcorn dispenser that also dispensed hot butter. And if you put your hand under the hot butter, you burn yourself.
And what's so funny about that bit too is it has these weird cuts in it where it says, hi, Chef Goldblum. And then he wouldn't be looking at the camera, then he'd realize he had to look at it's. If you've seen anything Tim and Eric, you know how weird it is.
Well, that's what's cool about the Alamo Drafthouse is they add to the experience by providing clips of other things. Some of their trailers ahead of the movie that promote other stuff or draw from very cult movies and has inside jokes and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I agree. Dan emailed us, and James isn't here. He'd be really happy because he says, "Greetings. I must say that I'm in complete agreement with James's review of Justified. James has waited his whole life for someone to agree with anything he said.
The reaction I saw last night, James nearly melted in his seat. He was so ecstatic that
He was.
heard that.
He flayed his arms around and was really excited, and I told him to settle down. You know, we have guests, don't embarrass yourself, and he didn't care. It's my favorite cable television show, bar none, and the last season has been especially impressive. It's one of the most well-written shows that I've come across and does a brilliant job at blending drama, action, and comedy without feeling forced. I haven't seen it. James lent me the first season. I keep on meaning to watch it, but then I decide I want to watch something else. You know, like the Dick Van Dyke episode I've only seen 6 or 7 times. I also recently watched Sam Raimi's original The Evil Dead and was surprised at how much of a straight horror film it is and how effective it is. But while watching it, I couldn't help but think of The Cabin in the Woods and how dead-on a critique it is of the film and others like it. Regards, Dan. Yeah, a lot of people are surprised that that's Sam Raimi's first movie. He tended to lean towards the comedy just because of his personality, but
Yeah, he's a big fan of the Three Stooges.
yeah, and the reason he made horror movies because he found that it was the easiest ones to get financed and make money off of, and then he decided to make goofy things. I'm actually really excited. I forgot to mention this in yesterday's show. His second movie called Crime Wave has never been on DVD. Is going to be released on Blu-ray, and it's a script by the Coen brothers that he wrote. I mean, that he directed, and it was such a box office bomb that it's never been released. But it's coming out May 21st on Blu-ray, so I'm really excited. I've never seen it.
Oh yeah, I read about that in Bruce Campbell's biography.
Yeah,
Talking about like making that movie, yeah.
and they all talk about how it's not a good movie. So, I mean, it's some like slapstick crime movie. So I'm kind of interested to see it.
Yeah.
And you know, who knows? It's probably better than Sam Raimi's giving it credit for, or it might not be. So thank you everybody who took the time to send us emails and tweets. We really appreciate it. Macrobonics sent me another thing, but I've been answering him on Twitter. Did you take advantage of the 700 free comics that Marvel gave away digitally?
I didn't know.
Yeah, I heard that it crashed like the system and stuff, and some people only got a few things because they're offering 700 free comics.
Yeah, I can't imagine how many megabytes or gigabytes downloading that requires, you know?
Yeah, but I'm still old school. I still like my comics physically.
Yeah. Being able to hold them and
because
see the detail. And
I went to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics last week,
mm-hmm.
and Joe Kelly, who's going to be at Denver Comic Con, and we'll mention him again later on the podcast, but he wrote Spider-Man off and on, and he's in these really weird like Spider-Man offshoots, not his main books, and so I dug up Web Spinners Tales of Spider-Man, and he wrote about Peter Parker's senior prom, and it's really good. And I got them half off at Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics. They're only $1,
nice.
These issues, so you should pick them up. They're really good.
Yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, thank you for everybody who sent us tweets and emails and waiting for a call again. So call us. We love hearing your voices, better than our voices continuously.
Yeah, we hear a lot of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Way too much this week.
Way too much. I think I'm really tired of hearing myself. And I've been teaching so many classes for my job that I literally talk for 4 hours a day, and then I take a break, and then I have to talk for 4 more hours. So it's like I've been hearing my voice so much this week that I just
sick of it.
Want to shut up and have like a voice box, so I would just sound different,
Well, I'll try to step up to the plate and fill the void.
All right, thanks.
Do my best.
So,
I wish James was here.
This is the stuff that tickled the real nerd's fancy this week. Stuff we've been watching.
So, this is the stuff we've been watching.
That's a really long category title.
It is. And stay tuned for new ones. Our good friend Joe is working on, I'm not going to spoil what we're going to have, but hopefully by episode 100 we'll have all new intros and things like that. So stay tuned for that. This week, I if you've been to our website, you know that I've already posted these reviews, but I was at a movie store, and I saw all 4 Leprechauns were in the same collection, and they were $5 for it. I said, $5 for 4 movies, can't lose.
Lucky for you, huh?
Yeah. I kissed my Blarney Stone, and I have to say that they were a favorite of mine when I was in high school, and I think they came out before I was in high school.
What about them? What about them did you enjoy?
I loved the horror comedy element of him. I did this with my father when I was too young. He would take me to Blockbuster, and we got to pick any movie we wanted. That's how I fell in love with Army of Darkness. And when I got in high school, my friend Brandon and I would basically hang out all weekend long. And his mom would take us to the Blockbuster up the street, which is still here. I swear it's the only Blockbuster still around. And we would always go to the horror movie section, and we'd pick just some random horror movie. And we saw some horrible ones, but the Leprechaun ones we loved. And what I love about them, and rewatching them, I still think they're really funny. And I think it's because Warwick Davis just sells being the Leprechaun so much that it works. I mean, the rest of the actors in it aren't quite as good, but Warwick Davis is amazing as a Leprechaun because he is having fun. He's kind of evil, and he always has limericks that he says before he kills people, and rhymes, and stuff like what's he say? Drink all you want, drink all you're able. If you're drinking with me, you'll be under the table, because he's having a drinking contest with him. And in every Leprechaun movie, the mythology of the Leprechaun changes, so there's no continuity.
Where does the Leprechaun come from?
It comes from Ireland, I guess, because...
So there's just a demonic Leprechaun running around all the time in Ireland?
Yeah, killing people in Ireland. Have you never seen him?
I was going to ask you, I vaguely remember, like, did he... And in the finale of one of the movies, did he fall into like a record player and get like sliced up?
That might be a Leprechaun in the Hood. I've never seen him. I didn't even know they existed, and that's pretty bad for me because I pay attention to horror movies. And so today I went to Tradesmart and I found Leprechaun 4, Leprechaun in the Hood, and Leprechaun Back to the Hood for $7. I already own Leprechaun 4 in space, but if I bought the two of them separately, it'd be $20. Or I could buy them with Leprechaun 4 and it was $7. Makes no sense at all. So I have 2 copies of Leprechaun 4 if you're ever interested in Leprechaun 4.
Oh, yeah, please.
It's the worst Leprechaun movie that I've seen. I don't know if it's worse than Leprechaun in the Hood. And it's not spelled T-H-E, it's T-H-A, so it's the Hood. I can't even say it like,
It's very urban.
Very urban. But yeah, I think Warwick Davis just sells it, and he's so funny in them. And my favorite bit in any of the Leprechaun movies is in the first one. He's driving this sports car and he gets pulled over, and the cop comes up to him and he says, "Hey, aren't you a little young to be out this late?" And he says, "Young? I'm over 1,000 years old." And then he kills the cop. Chops off his head. But there are some gruesome parts. In Leprechaun 3, he is in Las Vegas and he saws a magician in half. And it goes right into what else I watched. I watched That Thing You Do. And in That Thing You Do, the guy who sings the song, Mr. Downtown, is a magician in Leprechaun 3. So, sometimes it pays to,
Isn't that weird? Sometimes you'll watch a movie and then all of a sudden, like, something about it will relate to, like, the same thing you're watching somewhere else at the same time.
And I think those movies came out in the same year. And I will say the dude who plays Fazio in The Magician is pretty funny in the Leprechaun movie. So I can see how he kind of... I don't know if he's done anything else, but, I mean, But I also watched That Thing You Do, and I watched the Tom Hanks cut, and it's fucking fantastic. I love that movie. I really do.
There's a Tom Hanks cut?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long.
Wow.
I think the original That Thing You Do is 1 hour and 40 minutes, so it's almost an hour, basically an hour longer. And what it does is it flashes out all the characters in the movie. Like Charlize Theron, in the original cut, is only in it for 5 minutes. In this one, she's in it through the whole movie, basically. And you see why Guy, who's a drummer, leaves her because she starts dating the dentist. And while he's on tour, with the Wonders or the Oneaters. And it's just a cute movie, and it's really fun. There's some great little lines in it, and you find out like Tom Hanks' character is gay in it, and that was never alluded to in the original cut. His boyfriend is Howie Long, who picks him up at the hotel one night.
Football
player, Howie Long, yeah.
Wow.
And
did he know he was playing a gay character?
Yeah, it's a really funny scene because there's a scene in That Thing You Do, the theatrical cut. Guy goes to a jazz bar, and when he's at the jazz bar, he meets his hero. And while he's there, he gets drunk, and Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks' real wife, is an actress, and she plays a waitress in it, and she takes him back to the hotel. And Tom Hanks is there, and his name's Mr. White, and he says, "Oh, get him in there," and he doesn't want Guy to find out that he's gay, and he says, "Oh, he won't remember this in the morning anyways." And so he gets in a convertible with Howie Long, and he becomes really flamboyant. I guess not super flamboyant, but a little more effeminate. It's pretty funny. And it's a great movie. If you've never seen That Thing You Do, you should definitely see it. It's a really cool movie. And it's written and directed by Tom Hanks. He wrote some of the songs in it. So he's a really talented guy. The bass player's name is the bass player. He doesn't even have a name in the movie because he's so not important.
Inconsequential.
Yeah.
What else did you watch?
I also watched... Oh, fuck, I don't remember now.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. Let's see. That my brain... Dum, 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 dum.
People are going to love this part of the show, huh?
Absolutely. Fuck, I don't know. What did you watch this week, Brad?
I can't remember what James watched either. I know James watched That Thing You Do.
Yeah, he
as
also
well.
watched Pitch Perfect, which
I
said would probably make my top 20 from last year. He wasn't in love with it like I was because, yeah, and, I mean,
but
in
he could
essence-
see where you like what you liked
yeah,
about
I
it.
mean, in essence, it is a Glee movie. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. But I just totally remember the movie. I saw No One's Here to Stop Me, so I don't care. I saw The Sting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
For the first time, and it's a great movie. If you've never seen The Sting, and I can't believe I've never seen it before, but one of my things, I've been going to use Blu-ray places, and we're fortunate. I got the Sting at Second Spin, and Second Spin this week is you can buy if you buy 3 used things, you get 30% off. But I also have one of their recycle bags, so I got 40% off on something too. So I got 3 Blu-rays. I spent like $12 there, and the Sting was one of them. And so what I've been doing lately is I've been going through the used Blu-rays, and if it has the Universal 100 Years collection, which they basically went into their vault and released all their great movies and put them on Blu-ray, I buy them. I don't care what it is. So I got The Sting. I've gotten Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and
They created a box set that had like 100 movies,
Yeah.
100 of their best movies. And so, in addition to just creating that like huge, expensive collection, they made them individually available too.
yeah, because I mean I couldn't afford the 100
Yeah.
Blu-ray like drop. I mean, but something like The Sting, which is acted so well, Robert Redford, Paul Newman, and Robert Shaw are the main actors in it, and they're so fantastic. The movie is about con men and how they're trying to set up Robert Shaw, who's basically the biggest con man on the East Coast. And the costumes are great. The movie is shot so well. It's acted so well. It's written so well. And before every scene or every part of the movie, they have these Norman Rockwell-styled paintings telling you that this is the setup. This is the scam they're pulling off is called The Wire. It's the biggest scam you can pull as a con man. And I won't spoil the movie. I spoiled it last night, so I'm not going to spoil it because I thought everybody
You
had
got a second
seen
chance to not.
it. Yeah, so
ruin
this
it.
is a good thing about doing it a second time. But The Sting is fantastic. Everyone should really see it. And like I said, so I'm going and I'm picking up all these movies that I should see. As I've gotten older, I think I've appreciated movies a lot more. And I'm really appreciating these old movies. And The Sting is so good. You should definitely check it out. And I love that Universal is taking so much time to put their catalog on Blu-ray. And they import the standard definition special features. But every one of the Blu-rays also has 100 years of something. And like Abbott and Costello has 100 years of monsters, and they have a documentary about the Universal monsters. The Sting has 100 years of restoration, and it's showing how they restore their classics. Jaws has it. I forget the one on Jaws, but the Jaws has 100 years. I think it's Backlot Tours.
I'm
the
trying to
Jaws
think
one.
of the Jurassic Park one, which I just got. I checked the feed. I don't know if I missed it, but I don't. I didn't
Is the
see
Jurassic Park part of the 100 years Universal thing, though?
it. Should be.
It might be, but you should check it out because they probably have something on there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Jaws one is the Backlot, and the 100 years of the Backlot and how you can tour it. So it's really cool. If you just pick up the Universal 100 years, you won't be sorry. They're really good movies, obviously. So yeah, James saw That Thing You Do, and he loved it as well. He saw Pitch Perfect. He liked it as well. And what else did he say he saw? I think that's it, as much as I can remember. Sorry, James, you're not here to defend yourself.
Yeah.
You saw Jurassic Park in 3D.
Yeah. Sorry,
Which
I
you
was,
saw
I was,
as
I was
well.
dreading the other two things I have to explain again because I did it so well the first time, right? So yeah, I saw Jurassic Park 3D like Cora did. I was really impressed for a post-converted 3D movie. It was really well done. It felt
I've heard
like it
it's
had
amazing.
been shot in 3D. And there's this one, the part where the T-Rex busts out and attacks the cars. where that his eye comes down in front of
Oh, and
Lex's
it dilates.
and dilates. It's not like a lot of depth, but just the separation of those three elements, like her, the glass, and that T-Rex's eye, it was chilling. And what else? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was
the Gallimimus scene cool? I think that scene would look pretty cool because it's bright and all the dinosaurs are running towards you.
Yeah, I guess. At a certain point, I just kind of didn't even think about the 3D anymore. It was so...
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think towards the end of the movie, I started to realize that I wasn't like checking the movie for like 3D elements as I was in the beginning.
I did that in the Star Wars one because you could see it looked like cardboard. You know what I mean? And it was
episode 1. Yeah, it was so cut out. Like here's this layer, this layer. Yeah, Jurassic Park 3D. I didn't really get that.
Awesome.
It's really good. Then I also saw. So I saw 2 other movies, and I didn't go into them feeling tired, but for some reason, they didn't feel that boring to me. But I nodded off.
And this is a common problem with you, though. I've been in movie theaters where you've fallen asleep.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm like totally passed out and snoring or something. It's just like my eyes are still moving to the movie, but my brain isn't registering what's going on.
No, it's not like you make a scene when you fall asleep. It's just like you're at peace. Like the theater puts you at peace. You know what I mean?
Maybe like I've seen so much screen time that I'm starting to slip into comas, little mini comas.
And 70 years from now, when you're dead, that's where they're going to find you dead. Is if people think Brad is just sleeping in that theater again.
Brad didn't come home today, and we can't. He's not answering his cell phone. They start checking on the movie theaters, and there I am, just sitting somewhere.
Did you check the movie theater? Ryan Frost, former host of Real Nerds and in an insane asylum, knows that his friend Brad has.
I know where he is.
He always said he died watching movies.
He died doing what he loved.
Anyways, the movies you saw this week.
Okay, so I watched the new Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli.
Mm-hmm.
Someone figured that one out. But I think his son directed this one. It's called Up on Poppy Hill. And the animation's beautiful, as they're known for.
I think what they're so good at is they make everything so cute looking.
Yeah, and it's not an exciting movie like, say, Princess Mononoke that has action and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's this, I guess, 2 orphan kids. This one girl lives in a house up on Poppy Hill with these other girls. And then this boy goes to school at the community college, and they live in this old building that's in danger of being torn down by the college because it's just old. So these 2 meet up, and with the boy is part of a newspaper club, and so with her help, they rally together to try and encourage people to repair the building and get it spruced up so that the college decides that they don't really need to destroy it. And meanwhile, there's this B story of that the 2 might be related to each other, like same father, different mothers or something, or same mother, different fathers. And there's like 3. It's set in post, I think, World War II Japan.
So they're rebuilding.
And so these their fathers that they're trying to decide like who in the picture is their actual father of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they do all this investigative work, and it's cute. It's very classy movie. But there were times where I was very lost on like who are they trying to figure, like, because it's the characters in the photo are drawn. There's not a lot of detail, so they kind of all look the same. So you're like, are they, figuring out who that guy is in the photo, or is it another guy? I was kind of, lost it.
Is it a movie you're going to see again, though? You think?
Probably not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
if it's
reject
streaming
it.
or something.
If it's streaming, I would put it on. But I wouldn't rush out to see it again either. It's all right. It's not terrible. And the fact that I nodded off a little bit of parts, that probably contributed to me not following it. So that didn't help. So I feel bad trying to review something I didn't fully see in its entirety, And then the other thing I saw was not exactly sure how to pronounce it because I went to go see it expecting it to be called Tail. Thale, and then the person at the theater who introduces it's part of a special segment, so he introduces Thale, like I spelled it there. And then in the movie, it's I had a second chance to look up if it's Norwegian or Swedish or something. Mm-hmm. It's foreign. The characters in the movies refer to it as Toll. So,
well, I mean,
whatever. I'm going to call it Tail.
Yeah, however they pronounce. Well, yeah, you'd say Tail. I don't know how they'd pronounce it.
And I say Tail because the movie is about. Sorry, the movie is about.
You thinking really hard about it, huh?
Yeah, the movie's about these two guys. They're part of a crime scene cleanup crew, and they get called to this one bunker. And while they're looking around trying to find what to clean up, they discover this girl who's been sitting in this bathtub. And shortly after this part is where I fell asleep more than I did in the previous movie, to the point where just as I was getting into finding out like why she is who she is, because it's alluded that she's part of this weird race of like cat women who live in the mountains, but she's an anomaly. Like, she looks more human than they do, and so they're trying to explain her backstory. I pass out, wake up, and there's been like the two guys are holed up. They're trying to protect her as some group is laid siege on the bunker, and they're trying to execute them.
So is it a graphic violent movie, or is it?
At some parts, because the Catwomen in the forest attack their attackers, and that's pretty gruesome. Mm-hmm. Like, they shred them up and whatnot. And then there's like flashbacks to the girl, like she cuts off her tail to be try to be human and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And then the crime scene cleanup guys are explaining, they're trying to figure out why she was being held in the bunker by some other guy who's writing a journal. I don't know. Sorry. I don't even know why I'm bothering with this. But it wasn't. And then the CGI of the cat girls is like that CGI you see on like cable dinosaur documentaries. So it just kind of feels like it's not really noticeably CGI, huh?
It's like totally out of. It's like when you watch them on the documentaries and it's a beach and the dinosaurs are walking by, but they're not interacting with like the environment or anything.
Yeah, they're just kind of pasted on there.
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing that in this too. So, while I'm curious to figure out what I missed, I'm not like anxious to go see it again.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's that good.
Yeah, so that's what I watched.
Cool. Word from our sponsors.
For barbecue that can't be beat, try Birdman Barbecue Sauce. Available and original and spicy. These robust, full-flavor sauces have the awesome power to kick your taste buds in their face. And for that smoking taste on everything you eat, try new Birdman Smoke and Rub. Caution! Meat left unrubbed may suffer from flavor performance anxiety. You can pick up Birdman Barbecue at local area Ace Hardware stores, Ruff's Barbecue in Golden, and the Danny Cash Hot Shop off Broadway. You can also like us on Facebook at Birdman BBQ.
My man spider sense is tingling.
Hey, look, it's Man Spider.
How's it going, true believers? When I'm swinging through Colorado and I need comic books, I head to Arvada, Colorado, to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics.
Oh no, the teal troll is attacking me!
My son's in danger. Will no one help him?
Oh no, it's Man Spider.
Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics, the whips the competition with great deals on back issues, 50% off, hold slot, 20% off list price. You want sports memorabilia? They got that too.
Where are you going, Man Spider? The teal troll still has my son.
Here's web in your eye.
Oh no, I'm bested by Man Spider again.
So visit 6700 Wadsworth Boulevard in Arvada, Colorado, and tell them the Real Nerd sent you. Thank you, people who help us pay bills. Now we're going to go to boxofficemojo.com and see what they have, what the number one movie last week was.
This is the box office stats.
What was the number one movie last week, Ryan?
The number one movie last week, Brad, was Evil Dead at $25 million.
Hey, that's the movie we saw.
That is. And it's not the Evil Dead. I keep on saying that. It's Evil Dead.
It's just Evil Dead.
Man, what is
No
wrong
article.
with me? I know, right? And
Are you surprised that it was number one?
No, I'm not, actually. I'll be surprised how... I want to see how well it does this weekend. I'm sure it's going to drop big, but if it makes over $40 million, I think they'll make another one. I mean...
Well, it already made its budget back.
Yeah,
so.
it was $17 million, so it's already made its money back. So, yeah. And then Jurassic Park 3D actually did pretty well. Did like $18 million.
Nice.
So, some movies don't do very well when they re-release them in 3D.
But Jurassic Park is compelling enough to bring audiences
Because
back out
it's
for
a
another...
well-loved franchise,
Mhm.
you know? So it's going to bring people back. You know what's weird, though? You know what pisses me off about Box Office Mojo? Is they have Jurassic Park 3D as a separate release from Titanic 3D, but Titanic 3D goes into the grosses of Titanic. Like, it's not two separate releases. They combined them.
So as far as the full gross, when they do Titanic, they tabulate Titanic. Titanic is listed on the chart, and it compiles everything, every version of Titanic
Exactly.
that's ever made, even the re-release that wasn't
Yeah.
in 3D
Yeah, they did the same thing with Avatar.
in Avatar. But Jurassic Park
It has a separate one.
the one that was up there since '93, and then
Mhm.
has a totally different entry
Yep.
for the 3D.
Because they also have the budget for it on there. A separate budget for it.
That seems unfair.
I know. They must be ran by Fox or something.
Not that the gross, not that it's gross even really dictates what kind of a movie it is.
Oh,
Or this-
absolutely not.
yeah.
But it's still it's kind of weird that they would do it that way.
Yeah, they treat it differently.
Anyways, thanks Box Office Mojo. I mean, you do still have a great informative site. And now, what's coming out next week on Blu-ray and DVD, if you care?
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
Really, the big one is Django Unchained. Is really the only thing that's coming out next week.
Nice. It's a good movie. You should pick it up.
You should. I'll pick it up for sure.
I think there's an exclusive Best Buy version.
Is it really?
Yeah, so not sure what you get with it, but
You know, my exclusive Amazing Spider-Man at Target had a 45-minute making of disc. So, you know, it was worth it.
an extra special features disc. Great.
Yeah.
Um,
It's better than some of them. I remember when Spider-Man 3 was about to come out, they released the first Spider-Man on DVD, and I rushed out to get the special edition. It was a 12-minute long special feature on an extra disc. Really? 12 minutes? Anyways.
remember when they were doing like 1.5 and 2.5?
Yeah.
Is there 3.5?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wish that when they do exclusives, they'd announce them weeks in advance,
Yeah.
not just the week before in the whatever print ad.
I agree.
I
Because
would like to plan ahead.
You think it'd be something they'd want to brag about, saying, hey, you can get this version of Django you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, no.
But they don't.
They wait till, Sunday.
After I've pre-ordered it on
Tuesday.
Amazon.
Exactly.
But thank you, Digital Bits. I love Digital Bits. I remember going into it when it was called The Digital Bits many years ago. And
That's right.
I love that website.
And if you go to digitalbits.com and you click on their DVD cover art, it'll take you to Amazon. And at Amazon, you can pre-order it or buy it, and that will give Digital Bits a little bit of change.
And it helps
In their
keep
pockets.
them running, so you should do it. I love that website. Time for real news.
It's real news.
This week on Real News, it wasn't that exciting. James watched the Elysium trailer. Is that how it's called? Elysium trailer with Matt Damon and Jodie Foster. He says it's looks a little bit like District 9. I'd expect it from the guy who made District 9.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is one of my favorite movies from 2009. James's 2009 list includes such gems as Avatar.
At number 4.
At number 4. Mine is District 9. You decide, Real Nerds listener, which is better.
And for those of you who will never hear what we recorded yesterday, James apologizes for having Avatar
does.
that high up on his list.
He does. And then also, they're going to remake Point Break, which...
I've been hearing they've been doing that for a while.
I know.
guess not really news to me, but...
Yeah, but I think they've settled on a director, and I guess they're making a Fast and Furious 7 already, and they're going to start shooting it almost immediately, so they must believe that Fast 6 is really good. and they're going to hire. They're in talks with the director of Saw, James Wan. So good for him.
That makes sense. The guy who made like tons of torture porn is going to make an action movie.
Well, I guess he can. I mean, in those movies, it's a lot of loud music and quick cuts, so it probably work.
That makes sense.
You know. But anyways, slow week in real news. I went back and I was looking at it while you were explaining the movie that I heard from yesterday.
Another thing we touched on yesterday, Jonathan Winters died.
Oh, he did.
If you don't know who Jonathan Winters is, he was a popular comedian from days gone by.
One of the really early recognized improv guys.
Right. And I know him mostly from Mork and Mindy when he played Mork and Mindy's like old. He's like the original Benjamin Button. Like he looks old, but he plays their baby. And I guess he was
right.
It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things.
He's on Johnny Carson a lot. So
That's
right. It's a bummer.
And then Annette Funicello died, and she's like one of the original Musketeers.
She was one of the ones that people really. She's the one that people saw that they really loved.
Right, and she was in a ton of like beach movies.
Yeah.
From the '60s.
She suffered from MS. I just watched a whole thing about her. It was pretty sad because she said love to dance and to sing, and they were interviewing her as like '99, and they asked. The lady asked her, what's the thing that you miss the most? And she started crying, says she just wants to dance again. It's like pretty sad. Comic book corner.
What's up, nerds? It's the Comics Corner.
Now, James picked the comic book this week, and unfortunately you'll never hear him explain it, but it's a comic book that he told me to get, and I went and picked up the trade. Joe Kelly, I mentioned him earlier on the podcast, is coming to Denver Comic Con, and he is also, besides the book I'm about to tell you, he also is a writer and executive producer of Man of Action, which is a cartoon studio that does Ben 10 and Ultimate Spider-Man. So they do a lot of popular things. But he wrote a comic called I Kill Giants, and it's a story about a little girl who plays basically Dungeons and Dragons, and she's an outcast, and she sees things that nobody else sees. It's called I Kill Giants because she's a firm believer that she's going to kill giants, and she's visited by little pixies, and it's a really cute, quirky story. It's drawn in an anime style, and the art's really good in it. It's a sad story because this girl is alone. She's an orphan, and you should really read the story. If you've never read it, you should definitely pick it up. You can definitely get the trade because I got the trade at Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for 20% off, and it's called I Kill Giants. And it's a really great story. It's a little independent book. You can also they have the $14.99 version. If you don't want that version, they also have a $30 version, which is a hardcover, lots of deleted, I don't know if you call them deleted
bonus
scenes.
material.
Yeah, deleted panels or practice panels. I don't know what you'd call them. But yeah, basically a director's cut of a comic book. And it's really good, and you should really pick it up. Joe Kelly is such a great writer. He actually wrote one of my favorite Spider-Man books in the recent years, where it deals with a rhino. You should really read it. It's called I Kill Giants, and it's 20% off at Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics. So you should definitely pick it up. So, yeah. So now it's time for us to review the movie that we saw this week.
That's right.
This week we saw the movie 42. Brad, should people go see 42?
Absolutely. This movie was very good.
I agree with you, Brad. 42 is a great movie. And we're going to play the trailer, and I want you to try to find a trailer that doesn't have Jay-Z's fucking song in it, which will be impossible. So if you can find just a scene from the movie where, he's saying, "I'm right here," then that would be awesome, because then I don't have to hear, Brooklyn, Jackie Robinson. Here's a trailer.
My daddy left us. I was only 6 months older than you are now. I don't remember him. You will remember me.
Jackie Robinson, a black man in white baseball.
I want you to know I'm there for you.
In my heart.
Think about the abuse that he's going to take.
Your enemy will be out in force, but you cannot meet him on his own low ground.
What you gonna do if one of these pictures throws through your head?
I'll duck.
Mark my words and circle this day. Negroes are gonna run the white man straight out of baseball.
This ain't the America I know. You hear me?
If they knew you, they would be ashamed.
If Robinson can help us win, then he's gonna play on this ball club.
You don't belong here, and you never will.
Get off the field. Brooklyn Dodgers ain't changing our way of living.
You're wearing me down.
You are not the only one with something at stake here.
You want a player who doesn't have the guts to fight back?
No, I want a player who's got the guts not to fight back.
You give me a uniform. You give me a number on my back. I'll give you the guts.
I father, I Brooklyn Dodger them. I jack, I rob, I sin. Oh man, I'm Jackie Robinson. Except when I run base, I dodge the pen.
I'm just a ball player.
You a hero.
Why don't you look in the mirror? This is a white man's game. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. I'm a Brooklyn boy. I may take some getting used to.
Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42.
I guess they'd have that song in the trailer because they're trying to sell this story to kids, but they really shouldn't have to.
Well, not kids, but just like a younger audience.
Yeah, they really shouldn't have to because Jackie Robinson is a true American hero and a legend. And I mean, most people know the story, but we'll recap really quickly. Jackie Robinson is the first African American baseball player,
pro baseball player,
and before that time, they only played in the Negro leagues. And Harrison Ford plays
Branch Rickey. Yeah.
Branch Rickey has a goofy name. It's a real name, right?
Well, it seems like his name's flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Like it should be
Ricky Branch.
Ricky Branch.
Yeah. And at the open of the movie, he says, I want us to find an African-American player to play, for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and it's going to happen this year.
Because he wants a World Series, because a World Series guarantees money to the organization, and also more ticket sales because it'll bring African American money to the game.
To the game
initially,
and you've it peels back the layers of his character, and it's, and Harrison Ford is so good in this movie.
He's amazing in this movie.
I was passing a sandlot. Little white boy was up at bat. You know what he was doing?
Sitting on a fastball?
He was pretending he was you.
Why'd you do this, Mr. Rickey?
We had a victory over fascism in Germany.
No. Why? Why'd you do it?
I love baseball. Given my whole life to it. 40-odd years ago, I was a player coach at Ohio Wesleyan University. We had a Negro catcher, best hitter on the team. Saw him laid low, broken, because of the color of his skin, and I didn't do enough to help. Told myself I did, but I didn't. There was something unfair at the heart of the game I loved.
And he plays a character I've never really seen him play before, because you can tell he has the makeup on his face with the eyebrows, and he's kind of fat, and he has like a little hunchback, and
he adds an accent to his character.
Yeah, he has like a grumble in his voice, and you can tell he's an old guy who loves baseball. I mean, Harrison Ford is old, but it's weird. You don't think of Harrison Ford as old.
I think he's like 70.
He's 71, I think. Yeah. He's so awesome. But it's cool to see him play something different than the leading guy, even though I guess you could say he's the co-lead in the movie, but he's a supporting actor in the movie.
I call him a supporting actor, yeah. But
he's so important to the movie.
He's not a heroic, everyman, He's playing a character role.
Yeah, and the guy who plays Jackie Robinson is so good. I'm going to look it up real quick because I want to give him props. Because he's so good
justice.
in it.
Promise me you'll write.
When have I ever not written?
I want you to know I'm there for you, even if it's words on paper?
Ray, in my heart.
You're getting close now, and the closer you get, the worse they'll be. Don't let them get to you.
I won't. God built me to last.
And he's a tough kid.
He does a good job of like showing strength and reserve, and that scene where he finally breaks down in the tunnel because he can't take any more of the
Chadwick Boseman. And he's, I've seen him like on Law and Order. I think he's one of those character actors who's in a lot of things, but you don't know who he is.
Yeah.
But I think after this movie, he's going to start getting a lot of stuff because he's so good. And to follow up, the scene where he's in the tunnel is so good because he's basically being called horrible names by Alan Tudyk, who plays Philadelphia's. And
coach.
I didn't know Philadelphia was that racist. Did you?
It's not a documentary, so I don't know if they embellished it a little bit, but he says like every African American racial slur that I've ever heard.
But they also didn't want them to play in Philadelphia because Jackie Robinson was on the team,
right?
So I didn't know Philadelphia was that racist.
Yeah,
because to me that's a northern state, right?
It would. Well, the thing about like even though the North won, like. There's still tons of racism, and the Civil War wasn't entirely about slavery. It was also about like taxes and the president telling the South what to do.
Yeah, but it's sad to realize that that's not even 70 years ago, and how pathetic.
I know it's very recent in our history.
How pathetic people are. It's
how caught up in prejudice we can be,
and unfounded prejudice. There's a great scene too where all the sports writers are up in the booth. They're all white because the black sports writers aren't allowed in the press box, and they're all writing the stories. And this one guy says, "Mark my words, it's going to be the end of white man in baseball because the black man has an extra bone in his heel to make him run faster." And then Jackie Robinson hits a home run, and he says, "Hey, that bone in his heel help him hit that home run." And it was really great. But the movie is so well done. There are some hokey parts in it, but I still think there's some powerful moments. Harrison Ford's character is the father figure that Jackie Robinson never had.
Yeah, Jackie Robinson's dad left him like when he was 6 months old. Yeah,
and that scene, back to the tunnel scene, he's about to lose it because the manager for the Phillies is calling him so many racial slurs, and Harrison Ford says, "You can't do it. Just go out there. People are counting on you." Basically, way better by Harrison Ford, and he gives him a hug, and it's so powerful and means so much to him. And I want to get a Jackie Robinson jersey. I hardly ever get jerseys from other teams, but it's the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they don't exist anymore. So,
one game out of the year, every team wears a 42 jersey, so there could be a Rockies 42.
I guess it could be a Rockies 42, but I want to be authentic. So I'll see if I can find it. I'm sure they exist. I hope they exist because he's so important, and the movie's so well done.
Don't forget Harrison Ford's when he explains why he actually.
Oh man, I don't want to spoil it for people, but it's so good.
His real reason for
because the whole movie,
Jackie
Robinson's asking him. He says, "Why did you pick me? Why did you pick me?"
For the third time in the movie too. Like prior to that, Harrison Ford makes all these other excuses, like, "Oh, I want to win a World Series,"
I want World Series. I want
I'll get money.
It doesn't matter. He's a person, and
I kind of want to make a statement about the game,
exactly.
And then you find out exactly what that means.
And it's so great. And he's after he tells the story that he tells, and he doesn't really cry, but he kind of cries. You get choked up too. You're like, wow, this is such a great actor in such a great role, and he knows what to do. And it's awesome to see. It is, and the story's so good. And
the filmmaking part of it, like it's not really. Technically, like any kind, it's not flashy. Mm-hmm. It's not over the top. Like, oh, let's show you these cool baseball shots, or it's edited and told in a pretty traditional, like TV movie style manner. But the acting and writing is just so good.
Yeah, and I think it was the choice was on purpose because the story's not about how flashy you can make it. It's about Jackie Robinson and. also, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, because those two, like, I didn't know he stayed in the minors for a year. I thought he was immediately into the major league and he broke this color barrier. And
I think it was 2 years because he was for the Monarchs? What was the Monarchs? And
Monarchs was his Negro League.
And then he went up to the
Montreal Royals.
To Montreal. So that was another year, right?
Well, yeah, I guess because they started showing him and they were looking through. Yeah, I think you're right. They were looking through what, players they should pick to be in Major League Baseball. And
they had to prove a year.
Yeah, or something like that.
But they entered him early because they lost their manager. So Ricky wanted to get back at the commissioner of baseball.
Yeah, it's a really great story. And he does, the scene where the Philadelphia owners calls Harrison Ford and he tells him, you go up to God and ask him why you didn't allow Jackie Robinson to play. That answer isn't sufficient enough. It's great.
Yeah,
Branch, it's Herb.
Hello, Herb. What can I do for you?
Branch, how long have we known each other?
Oh, 20 years, maybe more.
Now, I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to take the field against your team if that boy's in uniform.
Why is that, Herb? His name is Jackie Robinson, by the way.
Yeah, Branch, I understand he's got a name, but we're just not ready for that sort of thing here in Philadelphia.
Well, what you do with your team is your decision, Herb. But my team's going to be in Philadelphia tomorrow with Robinson. And if we have to claim the game as a forfeit, so be it. That's 9-0, in case you forgot.
You know what, Branch? You've had a hell of a hair across your ass over this for a long time, and I'd like to know what it is you think you're trying to prove.
You think God likes baseball, Herb?
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
It means someday you're going to meet God, and when he inquires as why you didn't take the field against Robinson in Philadelphia, and you answer that it's because he was a Negro, it may not be a sufficient reply.
You have to see it because, there's moments in the movie. So, yeah, definitely go see 42. The Real Nerds recommend it.
They can say all they want. We're just here to play ball.
It's just a bunch of crackpots still fighting the Civil War.
Well, hell, we'd have won that son of a gun if the cornstalks would have held out. We just ran out of ammunition.
Better luck next time, Pee-wee.
Ain't gonna be a next time, Jackie. All we got's right here. Thank you, Jackie.
What are you thanking me for?
I got family up there from Louisville. I need them to know. I need them to know who I am.
Hey, number one! You playing ball or socializing?
Playing ball, up.
Come on!
Playing ball. Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42. That way they won't tell us apart.
Next week on Real Nerds, we are seeing Oblivion, the new Tom Cruise movie. I'm excited. I love Tom Cruise, and the movie looks really interesting.
It's from the director of Tron Legacy, so I'm excited about that.
I've already read some reviews, and they say it's really visually really cool.
Yeah, I was watching the Tron Legacy special features last week, and apparently he has an architect background, so that's why everything looks so polished and specific.
I have not seen Tron Legacy. I know I'm horrible, but I was watching a I was watching a Blu-ray preview, and Tron Legacy was one of them. Oh, it was for Secretariat. And
Secretariat came out, 2008? 2009?
2009, I think.
I guess they would have a trailer for...
And it looks amazing on Blu-ray.
I know.
I was thinking to myself, I might go get that movie just because it looks so good on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I'll agree that the story is kind of weak, and not... but it's the look of it, visually, it's just stunning.
So yeah, so I'll probably see it.
Yeah,
maybe I'll see it this week to gear me up for Oblivion. Anyways, you can call us 720-6nerds5. So you can tweet us at @real_nerds. Email us directly realnerds@gmail.com. Visit our website realnerdspodcast.com. And Brad, you have something for next week, right?
I was gonna say next weekend you can also come see us in person at Starfest.
That's right,
Denver
April
Marriott
20th.
Tech Center. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, you can go enjoy the con Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be there Saturday only.
Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be right next to the autograph table, so please stop by because I love talking to fellow nerds. And, I am not... The Starfest is a little more out of my league. I mean, I know a lot about what people are there.
Starfest is more of a sci-fi convention, whereas Denver Comic Con is obviously comics and movies.
So it's more of your... you're more comfortable with that stuff, so you might have to lead some interviews on that.
You can just say, like, nerd. Super nerd.
No, I mean...
Star Trek dork.
I like Star Trek.
Then how come you've only seen Wrath of Khan?
No, I've seen 6. Remember, we did a commentary for it that was lost.
That was also lost.
So once every 3 years, Brad loses a episode.
That was not my fault. That was, again, the laptop.
But Brad, aren't you also showcasing 3 of your films?
That's right. Also next week on Thursday, April 18th?
18th.
At the Bug Theater, 8 p.m., my animations got selected to be in the Denver Animation Pixel Show. So me and a bunch of other Denver animators will be showcasing our films for $5. Come down. There's free beer.
Free beer?
Yeah.
For $5, and you get to see cartoons?
It's weird for me to recommend that when I don't drink and you don't
but
drink,
still,
but other people out there drink. So,
hey, you get to watch cartoons and drink beer. That's awesome.
And all it costs you $5. And so come check that out. We're showing Idiot Chicks' toilet paper commercial,
awesome.
Enter Mustachio, and Beware of Hat and Glasses.
Enter Mustachio is great because Brad makes an appearance as the evil Mustachio.
Or does
that's not
me. I don't have a mustache.
I love that just the mustache makes him evil.
That's right. Not the googly eyes. And then also next week's so full of stuff.
Right.
We have more filmmakers, and hopefully we won't lose their episode either.
Yes, that's right.
The makers of The Aviation Cocktail. They are premiering a movie April 26th at the Film Center.
For the Real Nerds, I'm Ryan. That's Brad. This has been a Nebulous Visions production. Thank you so much for listening.
Brad sucks.
Dick.
My throat hurts. It's going to be great.
Sucking too much dick?
It's too much dick. Suck the devil's dick.
Does it taste like horse?
And racism.
Does the devil, is it his bottom half like animal? Is it horse? I mean, what's the interpretation of the devil? Does anyone really know? Hooves?
He takes many shapes in order to trick you.
Yes, I guess the devil could be anything you want it to be.
I think this podcast is the devil right now.